Well, thank you for hosting me on this very August platform. If I manage to sound a little bit excited at 3:30 in the morning, I think it's because I can't think of a better place to be right now than in the starting blocks of a major onshore gas project, in a very energy deficient, as you said, desperately hungry environment. The market's literally knocking on the door for our product. Could we go to the next slide, please? While you were absorbing every bit of that disclaimer, I thought I'd just introduce myself very briefly. Nobody knows me on that side of the pond. I'm reasonably well known in Southern and East and West Africa. My name's Blocq. Good morning, good afternoon. I've spent most of the last 3.5 decades frantically running around the globe doing oil and gas stuff. In 70 odd countries. I spent 27 of those years with a small company called Schlumberger. Some of you might know it. It's a great place to cut your teeth. The best attitudes towards technology and service quality, and certainly QHSE in the world. I've been a BDM, I've been a COO, I've been a VP for the continent of Africa for an American corporate. And I was really delighted to be offered the chance to, or the challenge, of steering Kinetiko Energy along the path towards becoming a substantial solution to the energy issues currently faced by South Africa. Next slide, please. Are you on it? Sorry, stay there. So go back one, I beg your pardon. Who are we? This is a kind of a tell-it-all. We used to be a 49% partner of the rights holder, which is Afro Energy, in that little orange patch you can see towards the top right of the country. A recently engineered merger has seen us become the 100% owner, with the ability to redilute back down to levels required by regulation for our production right, which is under application. What we are not indeed is a shale gas company. We are not doing any hydraulic fracturing. The geology does not support that where we are. We are retrieving gas from conventional sandstones in shallow wells. Next slide, please. This talks to where we are. We have very close to 7,000 square kilometers under rights and application. It's bigger than 37 countries. Trust me, I've counted. It lies mostly in the province of Mpumalanga. But towards the bottom, I wish I had a pointer I could show you. Towards the bottom, it creeps into KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State province. So we cut across 3 provinces, essentially. You'll notice that purple line running right through the middle diagonally, the Lily gas pipeline. This is the line that feeds from Sasol's activity in Secunda all the way down to the coastal cities of Richards Bay and Natal in the KwaZulu-Natal province. And they're off-takers from that pipeline that runs right through our property all along the way, including the huge ArcelorMittal steelworks in Newcastle and the major cities of KwaZulu-Natal. Next slide, please. So what have we been doing and what we are doing? Since I took this position in August last year, we've flown nearly 13,000 line kilometers of aeromag surveys in those 3 red blocks you can see on the map. Those 13,000 line kilometers represent about 8% of our turf. We've drilled and logged 3 wells near the Amersfoort, the little town of Amersfoort in Mpumalanga, where we've drilled and logged very successfully, very exciting results so far. And we're just in the process, in the start of flow testing these wells. So it's a very exciting time. Previously, we drilled about 23 exploration core wells, and with these 7 perm test wells, all to an average depth of about 500 meters. Of huge importance to us, of course, is the 100% record we have. Every single well that we've drilled has cut gas. We've got a 30 out of 30 coconut shy going on, and we intend to keep that record as best we can. All of that's been done very safely with 0 lost time injuries, and speaks to our robust approach to Q and HSE in the field. Next slide, please. Our wells that we've just drilled are in the upper part of our block ER271. They've come up with very easy stratigraphical lithological correlations between them. Typically, we have about 150 meters of dolerite sill on top of the structures, and further dolerite dikes a few meters wide very irregularly create compartments in which we find our gassy sandstones. Next slide, please. This is a map of where we are active right now. Again, I wish I had a pointer, but the red dots towards the top half of this overview are wells that we have still to drill. Around about the bottom, you can see Korhan 3, 4, and 5. And these 3 Korhan wells are what we have just finished drilling and are about to start flow testing. The other wells in the middle were drilled some 8 or 9 years ago and are still very, very high pressured and great gas flow when we need to use them. Next slide, please. So what we're going to do in the future, in the near future, is a couple of proof of concept projects whereby initially we're going to be putting a gas to power generator in the field right next to these wells I've just shown you in the previous slide. Scalable, starting at just over 1 megawatt and scalable up to 5 with the addition of further wells. In the same area, we're also planning a small single module proof of concept LNG producing plant up to about 900 gigajoules per day. It's an 18-ton module, and again, it's just an extrapolation of the mind. You know, if we can do this with 5 or 6 wells, what can we do with 500 or 600? You know, it becomes very substantial and more, obviously. Further south in the Volksrust area, the basement is deeper, and our wells are typically about 200 meters deeper than they are in the Amersfoort area. And we should be getting better flow rates out of that part of the world as well. They're definitely better pressures. Next slide, please. A slightly closer view of the infrastructure around where we are working. You'll be able to see Sasol Secunda in kind of the middle of the map towards the top half of the map, feeding the lily line, which goes, as I said, through our turf all the way down to Natal. The presence of high-powered lines and power stations are very prevalent around our area. You can see right there next door to us places like Majuba, Tutuka, etc. So you can't really call our gas stranded. There's a market for it all over the place. Next slide, please. Yeah, and as I've mentioned, in South Africa, the need for energy is a classic case of demand outstripping supply. The National Electricity Commission, Eskom, has sadly been a victim of poor and corrupt management during previous presidencies and is now suffering from, well, aging infrastructure and coal supply hurdles. And we have in South Africa something called load shedding, which is a planned rolling blackout in order to, well, prevent Eskom themselves from rolling over. Now, while supplying the national grid is a primary need for the country, our energy minister remains very fixated on coal as a primary solution for power, although he's recently made some very exciting comments about gas. Sasol, however, is deadly serious about moving from the coal to liquids facility to a gas to liquids. And their Fischer-Tropsch cracking system, you'll understand, is very easily converted after reforming the gas in the right ratios of hydrogen and carbon monoxide. So they are starting that process already. We're already in discussions with them about supplying gas. They've currently allocated about 20 to 22 billion to the project of moving from CTL to GTL. And a lot of that is focused on imported LNG. And what we have domestically is of great interest to them. Next slide, please. So yeah, in terms of private industry, I think these end users are crying the loudest of all, as they all seem to be moving from heavy fuel oil, from coal and diesel, towards gas-powered thermal solutions. We could probably never satisfy fully the collective demand from all of these above needy off-takers, but we do intend in our longer-term planning to be in a position to help them all to some extent. Given our vast geography and the huge resource that we have of currently the resource is certified at 4.9 TCF, which is about 5 times, that's the P50 or the 2C if you like, 5 times the size of Moss Gas, who flowed gas profitably for 20 years using just 1 TCF. So there's the scale of comparison. As I've said, the first monetization project will be a proof of concept GTP, followed shortly after that by again a proof of concept LNG, and in the longer term we want to be working with clients, bigger clients with gas to pipeline like Sasol. And our territory goes right up to Secunda where they're working. It borders on the town, so dinky little pipelines could be supplying them with relative ease. Next slide, please. We've recently re-engineered our business structure in such a way that Kinetiko moves from being a 49% shareholder to the 100% operator and owner of Afra Energy. And from this position, we will dilute down to the numbers required, by the regulation in order to get our production right. BEE, or Black Economic Empowerment, is a very special vehicle that's used in South Africa in order to allow previously disadvantaged people, into the business opportunities of the country. I'd like to acknowledge these Australian investors who have shown interest and kept the faith and walked the long walk with us. I think you've made the right decision, and I really look forward to proving it to you in the near future. To reiterate, we're in the starting blocks of something very, very substantial in South Africa. Various companies have heeded the call from the global arena and from their own shareholders and customers, and are moving into a greener production environment. And what we have under our feet represents a significant negative resultant in their carbon output. It's why, we're part of the green approach. Competing technologies, of course, cannot provide base load 24/7. You need wind, you need sun. What we have represents a full, secure stream of energy that is desperately required in South Africa. So it's a wonderful place to be, and I think we should see our share price on its natural value curve, heading on an exponential trajectory very soon indeed. I think I might have run out of time, Tim, so I'll leave that there with you. If you just go to the next slide, and just to say thank you. And a picture of a blue Korhan, after which I've named our current well cluster, for your amusement. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Nick. It's great to hear your passion, even though it's 3:30 in the morning over there. We can hear that passion. So thank you. So how long do you think it'll be before the company expects to achieve its first gas reserves?
Our current timeline has us producing electricity by early Q3. I think it should not take perhaps half a year after that in order to be producing LNG. We're kind of on a fast track here. We really want to get our proof of concepts running. We know they're going to work. We just have to prove it. And from that point on, it's just a matter of drill, baby, drill. We need hundreds, if not thousands, of wells, providing the scale of support to the energy need of the country. So it's reasonably fast tracked. I think within April, May, June, July, yeah. So 4 months is realistic for the GTP, and perhaps end of year, somewhere around the early new year, we could be in LNG production.
Great. Thanks, Nick. That's all we have time for. If you do have time, there are some questions online that you could answer directly, and we'll go from there. But thank you for your time.
Thank you indeed. Appreciate it.